So God is actively at work in all things. Romans 8 says that he is causing all things to work together for good to those who love him. Uh, Certainly, many things happen that are not his ideal will, that were not in place in Eden, but there was the fall, there was sin under the curse. And so you have lots of disasters in scripture, and an epidemic would be one of those that God would not ideally inflict upon humanity, but we don't live in an ideal world. It's under the fall, it's under the curse. But the great thing is, it's never outside of his control, as we see so clearly in Job, and he uses it for the good of his people. Now, it doesn't say all things work together for good to those who don't love God, because ultimately, if we reject God, then we'll go to hell for eternity, and that's not working together for good. But for his people, we can be solid in that promise.
So does that mean that he is at work in the spread of a pandemic, or is this more of the work of Satan, or how do you navigate those theological waters?
Right. Actually, 2 Corinthians 12 really hits that, if I can find it quickly here, where Paul is talking about the thorn in the flesh, and he says in verse 7, he says, whatever this physical illness is in his life, he says, so to keep me from becoming conceited because of the surpassing greatness of the revelations, you've gone to paradise, you've gone to heaven, a thorn was given me in the flesh. He's got this thorn in the flesh, a messenger of Satan. Well, if you stop right there, you go, okay, where did the thorn in the flesh come from? It was from Satan. But wait a minute. A messenger of Satan to harass me. Does Satan want to harass us? Sure, that makes sense so far. Then he says, to keep me from becoming conceited. And he said that in verse 7. He said it again at the end of that same verse, to keep me from becoming conceited. Now, Satan doesn't want to keep us from becoming conceited. I mean, he wants us to be conceited because he knows that'll derail our relationship with God. So who is at work in here? Well, the answer is Satan is at work as a secondary agent. Yeah, Satan, it's like with Job. He has God's permission to do certain bad things to Job, but God is the one who is at work in it to create a more Christ-like character in Paul. So Satan is the secondary, but God is the primary. And even the devil, what the devil does, can be used by God. And the classic example of that, like in the sermons in the book of Acts, is the crucifixion of Christ. Who was behind it? Well, Satan and Pilate and Herod, and ultimately God himself in his perfect plan.